Greetings everyone. So we just finished a big storm here in Northern California and we got about 3 feet of snow dumped on us. And I noticed something about my Shelterlogic tent that needs to be corrected. And I'm not sure if you can see it on this side, but it appears this side of the tent has actually kind of pushed out on the bottom. So I don't know if the stakes that I put in have broken, or I put in road base before I put the tent up, and I used some pretty long spikes, but I'm wondering, so they either broke off or they have slid. Maybe they're not grabbing in the road base, or they're not grabbing in the in the dirt, or the dirt, once it's saturated, maybe those just slid out from the weight of the snow. So I have a couple ideas on how I can remedy that. So let's go take a look. It looks like the back opening is the same way, kind of looking at the way that zipper is, and there is a lot of tension on that back panel. So this so none of the stakes on this side must have held. So the spike is still in there, but the shelter has obviously moved. I got enough of the snow cleared out, and the spike on the other side is still in also. So the thought that I have two ways I might do this. One, I might put a chain going across between the two spikes. So I could just put the chain, along the ground, put the spike down through the hole through the chain, and set it to where the opening is the right opening on the Shelterlogic garage. Or if I can get a piece of conduit that will either slip right over the Shelterlogic tubing or right inside the Shelterlogic tubing, then I can just drill a hole through and put the spike back in. So let me get the end of those conduits unburied a little bit more, and of course I want to unbury the side of the garage and get some weight off the roof so I can lift it up and move it back to where it needs to be. So let's get the snow off the roof first. Wow, so there's definitely some weight on top of that shelter. While I was shoveling it, it was moving. I don't know if you could see that in the time lapse, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish cleaning this off, and I'll bring you back once that's done. So here are the big spikes, or it's like a big nail that I was using to hold the shelter down. And I had a chunk of 1/4-inch chain left over from when I redid some safety chains on my kayak trailer, and the peg fits in the links of the chain, and the chain fits in the tube. So I'm probably going to go with that. And so now I'll just measure what length of chain I need to get from that spike to the spike over on the other side. So I measured from that spike to that spike, and it's currently 8 feet 8 inches. So what I'm going to do is get 2 pieces of chain, 8'6". I figure that'll bring it in, and I'll be able to zip the door closed now because it won't be squashed out. So I'm thinking 8'6" will be good. The other nice thing is that chain, if I need to, I could push the chain farther into that tube and put the spike through the next link in, so it could be somewhat adjustable as well. So let's go to the hardware store and get some chain. So I ended up going with the chain idea, and I measured the back before I went to the hardware store, and the stakes were 8 feet 4 inches apart rather than 8'6" in the front. So I went ahead and got 8'4" of chain and 2 pieces, which was probably more expensive than conduit, but it was definitely easier to put in. This took me probably 5 minutes. So, and the links, the extra links, I just pushed them inside the tube until the chain was nice and snug. I did one side, and then I ended up, of course, pulling this side in a whole bunch that where it had spread apart earlier. So, and then I also did the back. And so now the canopy doors are real loose. They were tight before because of the way the sides had slid out. You know, it's kind of like doing the splits. So anyway, that was the final decision there, and that's what the chain looks like installed. Shouldn't be any problem just driving over it with the side-by-side. So I've got the front door of the Shelterlogic tent all zipped up, and as you can see, it is really loose now. I couldn't even zip the front closed before, so the chains really worked. And I hope you guys enjoyed this modification to the Shelterlogic tent. And I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.